Hey, everybody, welcome to the Caught by Happy podcast. Today on the show, I am speaking with Ruth Newberry. Ruth is one of the co owners, the partners of Cream Studio down in downtown Richmond, Virginia, motion graphics extraordinaire. I knew Ruth from about, a little over a decade ago, I guess you could say, back when I worked with her for, maybe about a year or so. I worked at this one place. It was a graphics hub where we created a bunch of television station graphics and then sent them out to the TV stations, and they would use them that day on the air. We did a lot of maps and cutting out mugshots, but we also did some bigger news graphic packages for like the swoopy things that come in on the morning show and then the things fly around. And it was a lot of sitting at a desk and burying my head into broadcast graphic design work, and a lot of it was kind of tedious work. And to be honest with you, I didn't know what I was doing there. I had no formal training in graphics. I just had worked at a TV station previously, and I was in a weird period of transition in my life. I left the job at the TV station to go work for this graphics hub, not knowing really a thing about design or broadcast design other than what I had learned at the TV station prior. So, I mean, and in a lot of ways, it was good for me because I got to learn how to use Photoshop, how to use After Effects and Premiere. But sitting at a desk all day, and by the way, this was in a basement. We didn't have any windows. Sitting at this desk all day in a kind of a high pressure, high deadline type environment was just not for me. I can focus on a task. I like to be able to bury my nose in work, but I also like to get up and move around and socialize. I'm kind of a social butterfly. So the type of environment wasn't really the best for me. I ended up leaving that job, not knowing what the hell I was going to do, but I knew I couldn't work there anymore. So it was a really weird time for me. I was about to get married. Yeah, I was working there when I got married. So imagine like leaving that job in the height of the recession, newly married. Oh, and by the way, like we had just bought a house after I had left this job. Like, why do you buy a house when you've got no steady income coming in? Ruth knew me when I was like kind of going through it, and I was trying to figure out what the next chapter of my life was going to look like from a career standpoint. For her, I think, I met her. She was pretty fresh out of college, and she had a boatload of talent. Like I could tell because we sat at the same kind of like workspace area that the stuff that she was producing for just, like the 5 o'clock news was far beyond what some of the more seasoned people were doing there. Anyways, at some point, her and another person that worked there as well, Amanda, again, full of talent, just immensely talented. Of course, they teamed up and started their own little side hustle, which turned into a full-on business along with another partner. We're going to talk to Ruth about how they started that business. She's a very talented motion graphics digital artist, but she's also an analog artist, like a real hang it on the wall artist. We talk a little bit about some of the artwork that she makes, and it adorned the walls of the studio. You should check out her website, echoandflow.studio. Her artwork is really unique. She uses these rolled up pieces of paper and glues them to a canvas, and you just have to see it to understand because I don't think you're getting the full picture. Of course, I'm going to put some links in my show notes to Ruth's artwork that you should check out. I need to get a piece for my office or just for my house because they really are quite beautiful, really. Hey, are you thinking about starting your own podcast? I got to tell you, it's really not that hard to do. All you got to do is figure out what you want to talk about, get yourself some equipment, and record some episodes. You're going to need a podcast host, though, and I found Buzzsprout to be hands down the easiest and best way for me to launch and promote and then track the performance of my podcast. It's listed in all the major directories like Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. All I have to do is just upload it, and then Buzzsprout does the rest. Lucky for you, you fledgling creators out there, I put a link in my show notes that will get you a $20 Amazon gift card if you sign up for a paid plan. Following that link lets Buzzsprout know that I sent you, and it helps me support this show. And they can be a great resource for you as you get started as well. They're great. They have a ton of guides to help you find the right equipment at the right price. You get a fantastic looking podcast website. You get some really cool audio players that you can embed into other websites or drop into your social channels. You get to see how people are listening and tools to promote your episodes and a whole lot more. Podcasting is just not that hard when you've got the right partners like Buzzsprout. And if you're thinking of diving into it, go check out my show notes, click the link and sign up. Get yourself a $20 Amazon gift card and help me continue to be able to create this podcast. All right. So before I even started this podcast and I was just kind of thinking about it, I reached out to Ruth and I said, hey, I think I'm going to start a podcast and I would love for you to be on it. I want to know about how you started your business and I want to know about the artwork that you create. And she said, sure, would love to do it. How about January? Because I am slammed right now. And she's not kidding. When I went to her studio, they were really busy. And I really appreciate Ruth taking some time out of her day to sit down with me for about an hour and talk. It was great catching up with her. And one of the things that's so great about this podcast for me is catching up with people that I haven't seen in so long. And I even got to see Amanda, who was too busy to be on the podcast because it was originally supposed to be Ruth and Amanda, but Amanda was just slammed with work as well. But I am very grateful to Ruth for taking the time to talk to me. So here it is, my conversation with Ruth Newberry, creative director and co-owner of Cream Motion Graphics and Animation Studio. Hello, Ruth.
Hi, Matt.
How are you?
I'm good.
Before we start anything, I want you to tell me about where we are right now because I'm feeling very cozy.
We are in my studio. I like it to feel like a spa because I'm in here an awful lot. So I have a lot of candles going. The lights are usually low. I turned on the bright one for you so you can actually see me.
Thank you so much.
You know, aromatherapy is a big thing. And sometimes I have soothing music on. You would think that it would put me to sleep, but it just kind of keeps me calm.
Yeah, so we are in Shockoe Bottom.
We are.
What do you do here?
I own a motion graphics company with my two partners and two producers. I don't know. I make my life here. It feels like I live here sometimes.
How long have you been here? Been doing this?
We are going on our 7th year.
Wow. Has it really been that long?
Yes. It's been a very, very long time since I've seen you.
Yeah. So let's go back to even before you've seen me.
Okay.
Were you always into motion graphics and design and animation and that kind of stuff?
I think I was always into art, and then I went to school for graphic design because it was all about creating things, but also getting paid to create things because I don't love the idea of being a starving artist.
Oh, all right.
So I went to school for graphic design.
Where'd you go to school?
VCU.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they have an amazing arts program there, and then I graduated and immediately decided I'm kind of bored with graphic design as it is, but animation was kind of my jam, so I got into that.
What year did you graduate VCU?
I want to say 2007.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, did you grow up here in Richmond, in the Richmond area, or did you move here to go to VCU?
I moved here to go to VCU.
Okay.
I grew up in Maryland on Kent Island, which is in the middle of the bay. It's across from Annapolis, so it's a weekend haunt for a lot of people that are in the Naval Academy.
Yeah.
You tend to pass by it on your way to Ocean City, and the bridge leading to it is always clogged.
Did you have family in the Navy? Is that why you were living there, or was it just...
My dad was in the Navy.
Oh, okay.
Originally, yeah.
So was he stationed there?
I know he went to the Naval Academy. He was stationed all over. He was not a part of the Naval Academy or the Navy while I have been alive.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So you went to VCU, learned a little bit about animation, graphic design.
Yes.
Where'd you go from there?
I worked at MGFX, which is a graphics hub. They handled 17 news stations up and down the East Coast, and we did all of the graphics. I did a lot of headshots and maps.
Maps. Now, Ruth, we worked together there.
We did.
We can talk about that. That's how I know you.
That is how you know me.
Yeah. I mean, it was a very hot second for me. Like, I don't know what I was doing there, but I got to meet you, and that was awesome.
Yes, I did meet some really awesome friends there, and...
That's your first job out of college, right?
Yes.
What did you learn working at that job about design, and how did it change, if at all, what you wanted to do with your career?
Mainly what I learned was how to work under tight timelines and how to take direction and turn things around in an appropriate manner that would make my client happy.
But you were working with multiple clients. I mean, I guess because you had so many TV stations that were requesting graphics, so you had to juggle multiple projects like on a daily basis, not like projects that you could work on I mean, there were projects I remember that you could work on over the long haul.
Yes.
But you were also churning out like the daily stuff that TV
Yeah,
news stations
very, very,
needed.
very short-term stuff. So we would maybe have 20 minutes to work on something if you're lucky.
Yeah.
So it did teach me speed. I, to this day, am probably the fastest person in any production company that I've worked in. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I do know how to work under a deadline. You do learn some bad habits because you're working for speed. And so I had to unlearn a couple of things after I left.
Throughout the whole thing, were you maintaining your love for doing what you were doing?
I always wanted more, I think. I kind of lived for the long-term projects where I could really dig in and put my stamp on something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also work with people in a more collaborative manner because I can only do so much by myself.
Yeah. What were your kind of favorite projects that you were working on there?
I do remember working on a broadcast graphics package for, I believe it was a morning show. I don't remember what it was called now, but they kind of let me lead a team, and we came up with with the look for that.
How long did you work there?
I want to say 3 or 4 years.
Oh, you were there that long?
I think so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it was that long now. I know I was there through 2010, and I graduated in 2007. I think they actually hired me before I got out of school because they really needed people.
Oh, really?
So I was very lucky to have that to step into instead of searching for my first job for a long period of time.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's got to have that first job out of college that they kind of learn the ropes and get their butt handed to them. So
yes, a couple of times.
Yeah. But eventually, though, you moved on from that job, and what did you do after that?
I went to a production company, learned also to work under heavier deadlines with bigger projects, and to work with a team of people to create something that had a lot more moving parts to it.
Yeah.
Quite often we were doing live action shoots, and then I would add graphics on top. Or I would be working in green screen footage of a live action person. Then I would be putting them into an environment that was entirely CG and trying to make it look real.
So these sound like bigger projects than TV station stuff.
Yes.
Yes.
It was mostly commercial. I was also creating full-on graphic animations.
Yeah. How long did you do that deal?
2 years.
Yeah. Did you like it?
There were aspects of it that I did like. I think that most people who have worked in production companies will tell you that it does get rough at times because of the deadlines.
Did you have to do a lot of client-facing stuff too? Were you meeting with clients?
I would meet with clients for pitches, yes. I think going into that job, I was very green still.
Yeah.
Especially when it came to meeting with clients. So I learned not to be scared of them, to learn that they're just people too.
Right.
Imagine that. We're working together as a team rather than me just serving them what they think they want.
Yeah.
So it would be more of a collaborative process.
And you worked there until around 2012-ish?
Yes.
So were you planting the seeds of starting your own thing?
So my partner here at Cream, Amanda, I also met when we were at MGFX. And she and I had started doing some freelance jobs on the side while we were there. And then we continued with that while we each went to separate production companies.
You were teamed up together to do these freelance projects?
So we were kind of doing those on the down low. Shh.
Uh-oh.
I know. But well, a lot of times production companies don't love that.
Sure, but you got to hustle and you got to,
Yeah. I don't think we knew at that point that we were going to be starting something as big as Cream. I think it was more like supplementary income.
Yeah.
Also taking on projects that we could work together on because we really loved working together. It also worked really well to bounce off of each other if one of us just had a bigger project going at our day job, then the other one could pick up and run with the project at night so that nothing fell through the cracks.
Now, did you find that maybe Amanda has like different creative strengths and they complement your creative strengths?
Yeah, she's an amazing illustrator. She does a lot of 2D work, and I lean towards the 3D end of things more often. She's also extremely good at talking to people, and I'm more of an introvert. So
well, that's why I had you on the podcast.
Because I'm the introvert. Well, yeah, you make me talk because I'm the only one here. But I've learned a lot from her about how to talk to people and basically her people skills are awesome.
Well, you need that. You need that
yeah.
in a business, and you need somebody that has those people skills, and somebody who can, do the schmoozing.
Yeah. So I'm kind of an auxiliary schmoozer with her. But I think what we both learned is that we actually do love people. We actually like to talk to them about their needs now, whereas before it may have felt a little bit more intimidating when we were baby animators. So
When did you guys start talking about doing this more of an actual business versus just a freelance deal?
even though we had been doing a lot of freelance work on the side while we were both working at production companies, we found that we were getting incredibly busy just doing the freelance work. I like to have a safety net, so I wanted to keep my day job and try to freelance on the side. However, some things happened at the production company where it made it pretty hard to stay. So I left. Amanda had left the production company that she was working on a couple of months previously because she had decided to make the leap and just go freelance because she's the brave one. So the moment that I decided, okay, it's time for me to move on, she immediately pounced and was like, okay, great. We're going to do this full time together. And I was a little worried about doing that, even though we were incredibly busy.
You were busy right off the bat.
Well, we were busy like on the side off the bat.
Yeah.
But we weren't like full time for both of us busy.
Sure.
So I went and got another job with a lovely company that I had actually had my internship with.
Oh, so back in your college days, you interned with them, and then you went back and got a job there.
They, out of the blue, just emailed me like the day after I quit the old job while I was still there and asked me to come in. And it was kind of awesome.
So you had your safety net.
I did. I had my safety net, and I love them all very, very much. They were incredibly kind to me, and Amanda was not incredibly happy with me at that moment in time.
Did that mean that she had to take on a lot more of those projects herself?
Yeah, and we had worked it out so that she got a bigger cut of the business and everything at that point, which made total sense.
Yeah. Was that running through like a business entity at that point?
Yes.
Oh, so you did have an agreement.
Yes,
then,
we had started an LLC maybe a year into freelancing together.
Okay.
So I went on vacation promptly after getting out of the old job because I needed a break.
And before starting the new job?
And before starting the new job, they were nice enough to let me have a couple of weeks to kind of regroup. So anyway, I started the new job. I came back and started the new job. About maybe a week into that, Amanda says, hey, there's this guy named Dave that I met while freelancing. You should have drinks with him. Or we should have drinks with him. She set something up for like a happy hour or whatever after work. So I started on a Monday. Thursday was when we had the happy hour. And then it became extremely apparent very quickly that, oh yeah, we should be working together.
What did you do with the job?
I didn't know for sure that we were going to be starting the company right away. I knew it was like in Amanda's brain, and I know that things that are in Amanda's brain happen.
She was going to make it happen.
Yeah, she's very good at getting her way in that way. So Dave had told me we were IMing or whatever one day, and he's like, yeah, so Amanda, she mentioned that maybe we should do this someday. And I was like, oh, you have no idea. I was like, so get ready. And it happened.
Now, this Dave fella, what's his specialty? Is he the same type of deal as you, or does he have a different
So
angle
Dave
of the
is
business?
actually kind of a superstar in the Richmond community as far as motion graphics goes. Amanda and I used to look at his stuff when we were at MGFX and go, I wonder if we should get in contact with him, see if he has any overflow. And it's actually kind of funny. While I was at the old production company, he had messaged me and said, hey, I have some stuff that I need help with. Are you available? And I said, well, I have another job that keeps me pretty busy. But
this was before you met him.
This was before we had even met him. I had never actually reached out to him.
Oh, wow. But he had seen your stuff.
He had seen our stuff. He had found Amanda's stuff, and through Amanda found my stuff. And he's like, wow, okay, I need to get in touch with these girls. I told him basically, hey, I'm busy. I have this other job that won't allow me to freelance. But if you can be quiet about it, then I can help you. And he never wrote me back. It's actually interesting that years later, I was searching for some old emails from him, and that popped up as like the very first email between us. And I was like, you never wrote me back. And he's like, well, that's how it works sometimes. I'm like, okay, yes.
So you have the happy hour, you meet him, you decide,
Yes.
yeah, we're definitely going to, we have a connection where we have chemistry, all three of us together.
Yeah.
We're going to do this thing.
Mhm.
So tell me about
About the other job.
the other job.
Oh, God. We didn't know that we were going to be starting the business for sure for at least a month and a half.
That's
I would
still
say.
pretty quick.
It is still very quick. The other job had hired me to start their motion graphics department. They were a photo illustration company before that, almost entirely. I was kind of getting something big started for them. And after we decided, okay, actually, Amanda and Dave told me they were going to do it. And I was like, well, you're not going to do it without me. There was no choice. It probably took me another 2 weeks to tell them because I was like dying inside about it. And every time I would like try to approach my boss, I would just feel so bad. But she was great about it when I finally got the guts up to tell her. I also stayed on for an extra 2 months after that to make sure that the transition went smoothly.
That was nice of you.
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't nice of me, but it was probably longer than I think you should stay when you do something like that. They were great about it, but I think that once you know, it's time for them to move on as well.
Sure.
And like find the right people to take your place.
Did you have a hand in hiring that person or finding that person?
They showed me some of the work that they were looking at from some people, and the person that they wound up with is fantastic.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that you poached them and now they're working here. All right, so you're done. You're out of there,
yes.
and you're fully in
Yes.
to this.
Yes.
Were you guys working from your own homes? Did you have a spot?
So starting the company, we started on October 31st. So we signed the lease here on Halloween. So I guess
You signed a lease. You started working here in this building
we did
immediately.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we were all busy for freelance. Dave was the most busy. So basically all he had to do was tell his clients, hey, there are 3 of me now. And all of a sudden we had way more orders than we could ever hope to fill. So we were turning stuff down before we even got into the building. October 31st was my final day at the previous job. I came here on my lunch break. We signed the lease, had champagne, and then I went back to work. And then we started building desks and bringing in furniture and stuff in between doing the animation work. I guess when you have a company that's all animators, it's very hard to balance being an animator and doing the work with setting up the business.
Sure. I would imagine because you are a creative person and you're working with 2 other creative minds, creative thinkers, that thinking about a business in business terms and paperwork and logistics and all that kind of stuff, it probably just doesn't come naturally to you, right?
It doesn't come naturally, although the setting up the business part of it has been the easiest thing as far as paperwork goes and logistics go. I think as we got bigger and we got busier, that's when all of that becomes more and more complicated. The more people you add, the more projects you have, the more complicated it gets. We started out dividing up the business tasks among the 3 partners. I was our original CFO, which is actually kind of funny, especially if any of my math teachers are listening. Yeah, somebody had to do it. And Amanda was our marketing person, and Dave was communications.
Okay.
You know, being the talented, extroverted people they are, we thought that would be the better thing for them. So yeah, I did that for a couple of years and then decided I really can't handle being CFO when things got crazy. So now I'm doing the marketing. Amanda's doing sales. I'm kind of her supplementary salesperson, and Dave is CFO.
When you say you're doing marketing, what are you doing? Like,
it's a lot of social media stuff. I've also learned a lot about Google AdWords.
So you're doing digital advertising and that kind of stuff and just getting your name out there.
Yes. It's difficult to keep coming up with content while you're trying to run the business.
Right. And actually tackle projects for clients.
Yes. Well, that's supposed to be my primary function. Right. But yeah, it's pretty much all digital. I don't do sales calls or anything. Amanda and I will go to a city and we'll talk to people. But more than anything, neither one of us is a natural born salesperson. We're just going there and we're making friends, which is kind of fun.
That's the best part.
It is. Yeah. You want to work with people that you like.
Sure.
So we just make sure that they like us, usually by bringing them
drinks.
Cookies or something. Yeah, well, there are drinks. It helps with the friendship making.
How did the name Cream come about? Was that something that you guys had in the can before you even signed the papers?
Well, we had to before we signed the papers. Yeah, actually, we kicked around so many ideas. We had a whole spreadsheet, and it's really hard to get three creatives to agree on something as creative as the name of your company that you're going to be under for many, many years. In the end, we had a handful of names that we were all kind of okay with. We forced a vote, and it was a very complicated vote. We numbered each one by the ranking that we would like it to be, and then we kind of had to add up the numbers for each one, and whichever one got the most numbers won. And Cream was just the one that came out on top.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We think of Cream as being the finishing touch. It's the best part. It's that thing that you add into a recipe that makes it that much more complex or rich. You know, it's on the website. We have a much more eloquent way of explaining it on the website.
All right. Tell me about the actual work side of it, what you're doing day to day.
So we start our days with morning huddle most of the time, where we all kind of get together and we talk about the projects that are happening today, what everyone is working on for them, any issues that have come up, upcoming projects, and then we always try to end with, okay, who needs help? If my schedule is lighter that day, I'll try to go help Dave out on something that's one of the projects that he's carrying. At this point, we've hired 2 producers. It's now the 2 producers and the 3 partners who have moved from being animators to creative directors, because we have so many projects that it's impossible to animate them all ourselves. So we kind of oversee teams of people.
So your title is creative director?
Yes. And we've kind of gone back and forth on those titles because it does feel like too prestigious a title or something for someone who, you know, I think of myself still as an animator designer, but I'm not. I'm not handling that part of things anymore. So it's a little odd to call myself a creative director, but that's what I'm doing. So I guess that's what I am.
The 2 producers that you have here, are they doing more of the in the weeds animation stuff?
No, the producers oversee the logistical side of things. So they're handling scheduling and budget stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's what a producer does.
Yeah. They also crack the whip if they're not seeing stuff fast enough. So it's a little bit of a weird setup we have, because it's not often that the creatives actually own the company. Yeah. It's kind of like the inmates run the asylum. Which I am sure our producers will agree with. They kind of keep us in check.
Do you have plans to open it up to more of a creative team and get a stable of people in here that can knock out some work?
I don't think so at this point, because we have talent from all over the world that we can pull from right now. And we've worked with quite a few people that we've actually come to love that live in Brazil or the Philippines or Chile. And it would be hard for me to stop working with them because they've kind of become an extended family.
Right.
If we start getting some projects that are more long-term, that last a few years and have multiple working parts, and for some reason the client needs to be able to come in here and talk directly to our people, then yes, that would be an option. We actually have a basement studio right below us that looks just like this, only with fewer windows. And we can expand down there if we need to.
Okay. What do you do down there? Are you shooting video down there?
Yeah, so we do a lot of stop motion stuff down there. We've set it up so that we have some tabletop green screen type things, and we'll go down there every once in a while and play. Or if we get a project, then we're down there for quite a few days in a row shooting. We don't see much sunlight, but we get a lot done.
Well, before we get to what you love about working for yourself and working for your own company, tell me the hard stuff. What's stressful? What keeps you up at night?
I think one of the things that I've learned the most about having my own company and transitioning from being a creative into a business owner is that it's really, really all about relationships. I spend most of my days talking to people, whether it's emailing or talking on conference calls or directly with my producers or IMing with my freelancers. And sometimes I go home and I'm really just sick of hearing myself in my own head project.
Yeah.
You know?
Don't listen to this podcast then.
Okay. No, I don't plan to. Sorry. I don't want to hear myself. Yeah, but that's probably been the biggest shift for me, is just being the person who could turn off the lights and put on my headphones and just work and just create, to being someone who's facilitating the creative and giving feedback, which has also been an adjustment because I don't want to be the bad guy and I also don't want to make someone do something that's difficult, but I have learned to be a little bit more demanding and assert myself a little bit more and eventually get my vision out through someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's probably been the hardest thing. It's just learning new skills like that.
Sure.
And also dealing with taxes and
right.
all of the contracts, and it's a lot of paperwork owning a business.
How many hours are you putting in here? Like,
it's not so bad anymore. It's maybe 50 hours a week. When we first started and we didn't have our producers, God, it was probably 60, 70, 80 hours a week.
Sure.
Like, we really did live here. There were quite a few nights where I would sleep here.
So tell me what you love about it.
I love coming in every day and working with my best friends. That's always going to be number one for me. Amanda's been my best friend for going on 10, 12 years now. And then when we met Dave, it was like, oh, you're just like us. You're the missing piece. Starting the company with them was actually really, really fun. We would come in every single day, and there were quite a few moments where we would just stand here and go, we're really doing it.
Yeah, that's pretty special. I mean, because I've talked to a lot of people who have built their business by themselves.
Yeah.
You're doing it as a partnership with two other people. Mm-hmm. So it's like you're building something together. You've got this strong, amazing bond. Mm-hmm. It's really amazing.
I think so. No. Certainly you have your disagreements and everything. It's impossible to have a partnership with this many moving parts and not have disagreements, but we do work it out always. It does feel like a marriage. I think I told Amanda I business married her, and now she's my work wife, like for real, and she can't get rid of me.
So give me the goals. What are your long-term goals for this place and for this company?
I'm not sure that we know long-term what exactly we want. We're kind of taking it organically. Things have moved a lot faster in the past couple of years than we thought they would as far as growth goes. I was animating less than 2 years ago daily.
Are you being thoughtful about the new clients that you're bringing in, or are you still like trying to grow like crazy? Are you at capacity right now and happy with it?
At this very moment, we are definitely at capacity. We're looking at bringing in some freelance producers and perhaps some freelance creative leads that would be an extension of us, just so we can handle some of the projects that are on the horizon. We've thought about getting our own building at some point. We love this one, but we rent here.
You're renting it. Okay, so you're thinking about getting something that you own outright.
Yes. This setup is lovely. It was actually like this with built-out suites.
Oh, it was like this when you got it?
When we walked in day one. I know. We got extremely lucky. We had a really great realtor who talked us in to coming here over one of the cheaper places, which wasn't terribly expensive to begin with, but we had no idea what we were going to be able to afford outright, and if success was going to continue as it had in our freelance careers. We got extremely lucky, but eventually we'd like to have our own space, start investing in that.
Do you have any idea like what part of town, at this part of town, different part of town?
Probably not down here. Buildings down here are, in the millions, like a simple building. Sure. Yeah, so probably more expensive than we want to, but no, we have not started looking. So we tend to define growth in a different way than I think a lot of companies define it. You find that a lot of companies want to hire more and more people. I think because we had such a strong bond coming into this, we want to be extremely careful about the people that we bring in, because we don't want to upset that balance. Joanna was great. She had been a longtime friend of Dave's. They worked together over at another production company, and she had been there as an executive producer for, I want to say 13 years. I could be wrong, and I'm sorry, Joanna, if I'm wrong. But she had been doing this for quite a while, so she was unnatural to step into that position. The production company is right across the alley from us, so she would come here on her lunch break, talk to us about what we were doing, and tell us about her kids, and then make suggestions that perhaps we needed someone like her.
Before you know it, she set up her own office.
Well, that we had an open suite, and so she would go, someone should be in there. It's like, yeah, okay, Joanna. So then she started like really talking to us about, what she could do as a producer. And we had no idea how to even use a producer because we had been so used to doing all of the communications with our clients on our own.
Mm-hmm.
But it's gone a lot more smoothly since she got here because they know their point of contact.
Has that taken a little bit off of your plate then? And
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've also taken on way more projects since she's been here. It's allowed our capacity to grow. So, and then Hannah, we had her in here as a contractor for about 6 months just to try her out. And she's lovely.
So she's not somebody that you had a previous relationship with?
No, we
Wow.
really, I know.
Brought somebody into the fold.
I know. We actually really needed another producer to help Joanna out, and we searched a long time for her. She has some experience working at other animation studios. She was willing to come into the Nut House for about 6 months and hang out with us, and then we just realized, okay, well, we like you. We can't lose you, so we hired her.
Well, that's awesome. I think what you guys are doing here is just amazing and wonderful, and every time you post a video on the social channels, I watch it and I like it.
Oh, you do like it.
I do. You
I
notice
appreciate
that, right?
it. Yeah. I like when you push the button.
No, I want to check in on my old friends and see what they're doing. And
yeah, you're great about that.
I mean, you guys, obviously, this isn't my bag, but when I worked with you all those years ago, your talent was like through the roof. From my perspective, there were a lot of people that we worked with that were talented people.
Yes.
But you and Amanda, crazy amount of talent that
thank you.
Outgrew the basement of the place that we worked in.
I think more than anything, we were determined to move out of there and go do something bigger.
Yeah.
And now this is the bigger thing. It's bigger, but it's smaller.
Sure.
It's less people.
And more windows.
Yes. I love the windows.
Talk to me a little bit about the other stuff, the personal stuff. I know that you are an artist.
Mm-hmm.
We're sitting in your office right now, and right behind me is a beautiful piece, and I want to learn more about.
Do you want to touch it?
Can I touch it?
You can touch it. Yeah, it's just paper. Basically, what I do is I take a canvas, and a couple of years ago, I took a trip to Thailand, and I took a paper making class there, and it's amazing, beautiful paper. They start with this kind of like a watery paste type thing. They put it on a screen, and then you kind of use a squeegee thing, and you make it flat, and then they set it out to dry. And mine did not come out so great. It was kind of lumpy, but I bought a bunch of paper while I was there because it was just so beautiful. And it kind of has a fabric consistency to it. So it doesn't hurt your hands when you're rolling it. But I roll it around a knitting needle, just kind of build some layers. And then I cut it kind of like sushi rolls. And then I use a lot of glue and I stick it to a canvas.
And there are literally thousands of rolls of different colored paper glued to this canvas. I mean, it's crazy. How much time
does
it take to like just this one right here, which is what is this, like 3 by 3 feet by 3 feet?
It's 36 by 36.
Okay.
So yeah, this was actually the first one that I did. I started because we needed some artwork in here. Now we have a lot of artwork, but when we moved in, the walls were completely bare. I needed something to do over the holidays because I've been working so much that all of a sudden the holidays were here and we weren't doing anything. We kind of put things on pause. I did not know what to do with myself. I was going a little crazy. So I started
rolling around some paper?
I did. And it's just kind of a meditative thing for me. My husband likes to watch TV. I do not. So I'm down on the floor generally like rolling this paper and then cutting it open. And it's always kind of fun once you roll it to cut it open and see what it looks like. It's kind of like a little present. It's always a little surprise.
And that's what it looks like?
That's what it looks like.
Is this like totally unique, a Ruth thing? Does anybody else do stuff like this?
I've recently seen a couple of people doing things like this as well. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if I was the first one to do it or if... What
was your inspiration for doing it in the first place? Like, how did you come up with it?
I don't know. I was just playing with the paper. Bored. Yeah, I was not bored, but yeah, okay, I was a little bored.
Bored and fidgeting?
Bored, yes. I'm one of those people. I think you had told me that I was a little bit like your wife in this way when we were working together, in that I can't sit still. I need to like have a plan of what's going to happen all day long. Like I have my to-do list and like I've got to check it off. So the moment that I don't have that to-do list and there's like nothing left, I get a little panicky. So at least this is kind of like the thing that I can come back to. And I'm like, okay, well, I have some time. I'll go do this. I guess that's what you would call a hobby.
I guess you'd call it a hobby, but you've had showings, right?
I had one. It went well. I don't know. I really wanted to have a showing and it was great, but I think in the end, I do this for myself.
Yeah.
So it's not as important to me that I have more showings, unless someone's interested. I've been recently giving away some of the smaller ones for presents and things. And that feels nice too, because it's not sitting in my studio where these things are piling up. It's like actually hanging on somebody's wall.
Do you have a pile of them in your studio?
I do. I have a lot of them hanging up in my house, and I have a lot of them hanging up here.
Have you sold any?
No.
Have you tried to sell any?
Sort of. I have a website, but they are a little bit on the pricey side for most people because they take so long to do, and because the materials are not inexpensive. But I love to do it. It's a great creative outlet for me now that I'm not able to do that as much here anymore.
Are you going to continue doing it? Do you think your style has evolved at all? Have you any new techniques?
Yeah, my style is evolving. I'm starting to sculpt a little bit. So I'm
Really?
sculpting these little pieces that I can kind of stick in there. I don't have...
Not paper?
Not paper, it's clay. Air dry clay. I think they call it paper clay because I don't have a kiln at hand to cure them. But you'll have to go on the website and see. It's kind of adding a different sort of dimension to it. I'm starting to use risers a little bit so that I'm getting a little bit more height throughout.
I mean, I think if people see a picture of this online, it's not going to do it justice. I mean, you really have to like see the layers and the textures and the shadows that they create. It's really cool.
Well, thank you.
I really like it a lot.
Maybe I'll have to have another show just so people can actually see it.
Yeah, okay. You should do one here.
Sure. Well, we could.
Yeah, you totally could.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to put together a show that's somewhere else.
Yeah.
So once I did it, I was like, oh, that was fun. And now it's out of my system. The people that helped me put it on were great. I have the website. My website for my artwork is echoandflow.com. And the website for my motion graphic studio is wearecream.com.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned your husband. You want to say anything about that guy? How's he doing?
He is doing well. We've recently celebrated our 20th year together.
Wedding?
Not wedding.
Because you're younger than me.
Yeah, 10th wedding. 10th wedding anniversary.
20 years together. Wow.
20 years together. Yeah. We're starting to, get old and watch each other fall apart, as we say. No, it's great. He's a computer engineer. I forget what his new title is. He used to be a software systems engineer. And he was an enterprise administrator, which I never really understood what that was. It always reminds me of something out of Star Trek. So that's what I would see in my head every time he would tell me that. I'm not sure what his title is at the moment. I'm sorry. But yeah, he's doing great.
When you were starting all of this and everything, I'm sure he was super supportive. And
he was. He's always been incredibly supportive. He bought me my first computer. He actually was one of the ones who steered me towards this, because before this, I was actually working in the theater. I was a theater tech. I was doing the lights, stage managing, and doing stuff like that. So I kind of carry a little bit of that drama maybe over into my work now, especially when I'm setting up a 3D scene. Yeah, he didn't love that I was going into that, because it meant that I was going to be traveling an awful lot if I wanted to do that. And so he was like, hey, look at this Photoshop thing. You can change colors. And then I was in. So, how are you? Are we going to have that part of the conversation?
Oh.
It's interesting because I remember talking to you however many years ago it was that we were walking around the city on our lunch breaks. I do remember telling you, because I watched a lot of Man vs. Food at the time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, Matt, you remind me so much of the guy. And not just because he likes food, but because he had that personality, which is great that you're now using that personality to kind of like
2 years later, I met that guy.
You did?
Yeah. Yeah. I got to go work in the appliance industry. So that brought me closer to food people. So I got to go on like these cool events where I would meet some food celebrities or celebrity chefs, which was kind of cool. And it was one thing that he was at that I got to meet him and say hello.
So nothing special.
No, nothing special.
You guys didn't like go out and have a wing eating contest?
No, I think
or
we ate a
anything?
burger together. That was about it. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of fun.
Or took a bite of a burger together. We each had our own separate burgers.
You didn't like, do the Lady and the Tramp burger thing?
Well, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for having me here.
Absolutely.
I think this place is awesome, and I love what you guys are doing. I'm a big fan of your work, Amanda's work, Dave's work,
And Hannah and Joanna.
and Hannah and Joanna's work. All of it.
Yes. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Oh, that was great talking to Ruth, catching up with her, seeing what she's been up to, seeing all those fine people over at Cream Studio. You can check out their website at wearecream.com. And, you don't have to be in Richmond to use their services. They're taking clients from all over the place, and they do amazing work. And you can see through some of the examples that they put up on their website. And you should also check out Ruth's other website, which is echoandflow.studio, where you can see some of the artwork that she's creating. It's really unique stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen anything like this before. All right, everybody. Remember, if you have a story that you would like to share on the show, please email me at caughtbyhappy@gmail.com. And remember to check my show notes for any affiliate links. If you use those links to shop, of course, I will earn a small commission. And that small commission only goes back into the show, helping me produce this wonderful, fantastic, amazing, unbelievably awesome content for you and your ears. Caught by Happy is a production of Harrington Communications Consultants. If you need any help with your social media, content marketing, public relations, or any digital communications, hit us up at harringtoncc.net.